Why is 3 a.m., between 3 and 4 a.m. the witching hour? Well, it's really quite a scientific thing. Like so many of the pagan festivals, they're rooted on cosmic cycles. Although this is not a pagan festival, the reason why our ancestors placed such importance on it was for a similar reason. Between 3 and 4 a.m. anywhere in the world, no matter where you are, you're basically on the back of the earth. You're on the other side, the sun is on the other side, and the earth's magnetic field had been slowly decreasing as 3 a.m. approached. Between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., it always seems to be 3:33 with me, the magnetic field of the other starts to come back. So we say between 3:30 and 3:33, you're in a kind of a twilight zone, a place where the magnetic field of the earth is basically not affecting you. And this is the time of the night where people have the most night hag experiences, where they have their incredible nightmares, where a lot of people wake up. A lot of people will wake up at 3:30, or between 3 and 4, and they find it quite difficult to get back to sleep. It's because of, that's why it's called the witching hour. The reality is different. It has changed. It has changed because you're no longer, your brain and your cognition is no longer subjected to the standard force of the way the Earth's magnetic field is affected by the sun. The magnetosphere is very much very much affected by the sun. That's why things like auroras and stuff are so central to it, and how it functions. So when our ancestors believed, and I still believe, that the veil of reality it flips. There's a gap in it. And you can jump into states of consciousness that aren't otherwise available. Or, to look at it another way, other states of consciousness are capable of entering into your reality, and that's a very much more interesting prospect, I think. So you have the night hags. You had, like, what's his name's H.P. Lovecraft's famous night gaunts, and these kinds of things, and the idea of the entity attacks, the sleep paralysis, always seem to happen around those times. So, and it's never properly been studied because they don't believe in these things. But that's the reason why. Just like pagan festivals like the spring equinox and Samhain are directly affected by the distance of the earth from the sun, and that's why they became magical festivals to our ancestors, associated with witches or the dead and so on. And in Scandinavia, they call the period from 4 a.m. to 5, again, depending on the time of year, they call it the blue hour. So that's why you will wake up at 3 a.m. to 4. Now, I've been doing an experiment the last week or so. 2 weeks now. I've been getting up at 3 a.m. and going out with my camera. And I have been taking photographs of the landscape and experiencing the landscape and feeling the landscape, and it's almost like walking in a dream. It's very ethereal, and it's very beautiful. You'll see the thumbnail picture for this video will be taken on one of those walks. It's funny, between the 3 and the 4 thing, you don't see a lot of animals and wildlife. They start coming out about 5 and 6. You'll see the odd bat, but all the birds are asleep, and you don't see any real insects or anything. And the sense of peacefulness is phenomenal. It's just astounding. I'm lucky I can just walk out my front door and then into the not the wilderness, but into the very rural area. It's phenomenal. It's truly, you really do realize how much magnetic, electrical and geomagnetic and other kinds of pollution, audio pollution, no cars on the road, no tractors are very, very loud in the countryside. That's just something that quite freaks people out. They think they're going to move to the countryside for peace and quiet. Suddenly it's very noisy because of all the tractors and all the farm machinery. There's nothing, there's no birds, there's absolute stillness. And then you have the dawn chorus, and it's like literally, not only do the birds appear in vast numbers, I mean millions of them, they come out of nowhere, and and species of birds that are not particularly visible all the time, not only that, but they chirp in enormous numbers. So again, in paganism and in our ancestors didn't pick dates and times because they were just superstitious about them. There's an actual scientific reason behind it.